of my brothers gonna stand up and lead the whole crew.
Basil was, is the only person of color and only Jamaican to serve as provost at John Jay. And at the time that he became provost, there were very few African-American provosts across the city university.
There was an enormous amount to learn, essentially coming from a very small department, African-American Studies department, to being second in charge of a very large college, and a college which, when he took over as provost, was fraught with problems.
This is an institution that was originally designed to educate police officers so that they could be better at what they do. Policing in the United States has largely been a white male profession. And so for this man, who is a man of color, who was originally not from the country, to be able to, be in the position of provost and have the kind of power that a provost has, to stay in that position for 16 years, and to really sort of weather some really interesting storms in terms of the future of the college, again, the future of the criminal justice system in New York, the role that people of color would play in that criminal justice system beyond being the prisoners, and to have the kind of, influence that he has had on, the development of our faculty here at John Jay. I think it's pretty phenomenal.
In a college, you don't do anything by yourself. I mean, you do it in conjunction with others, certainly with faculty leaders, certainly with the president of the college, who is the chief decision maker, and with other vice presidents. But we had a vision as to what we wanted the college to be. We wanted to make certain that there was going to be a sense of community. And I think we're able to establish that the people who worked at John Jay came to college, came to the job with a certain amount of enthusiasm and a commitment to students. We prided ourselves that we were student-centered.
Provost, first and foremost, is the chief academic, if you will, administrator at any institution. Yes, you have a president, but it is the vice president for academic affairs who is the right-hand administrator or part of that presidential cabinet, and who is seen as and is appointed because of his or her academic credentials.
We also placed a lot of emphasis on faculty development. We spent a lot of time in trying to hone the skills of the faculty vis-a-vis pedagogy. We also took research quite seriously, despite the fact that the faculty were quite burdened with having a heavy teaching load. I take great pride, and by the time I stepped down as the provost of the college, we had built one of the outstanding forensic psychology departments in the country. We had attracted a lot of top-name scholars in the criminal justice field, and had a Ph.D. program in criminal justice and a Ph.D. faculty in criminal justice that was in fact comparable to any in the country.
There are a number of people at John Jay today as we speak who can certainly say that their tenure, or if you will, their hire or promotions into other strategic academic posts there had a good bit to do with his presence.
Basil did a great deal to encourage inclusion at John Jay. I know that when I was hired with two other women in my department because it had been a largely male department before myself and Dorothy Schultz and Adina Schwartz were hired. So definitely in terms of gender, he was very instrumental in pushing for change in the Department of Law and Police Science and Criminal Justice Administration, and also for people of color. I think the institution went from a predominantly male, predominantly non-minority institution to one that I think is probably considered one of the most diverse in terms of its faculty in the country.
The faculty was in fact committed to student development and to student success. And so, if you look at John Jay from, let's say, 1990 to 2006, you see a marked improvement in graduation rates. I don't take any, it's not just because of me. There were many people who made a contribution to that. People in student affairs, student in freshman services, But we all had this commitment to student success.
We believe strongly that by confronting the problems that we faced in 1990 and 1991 and beyond, that we were going to be a stronger college, that we would be a more close-knit community, that the areas where we were divided could be a source of strength. And I think that that's absolutely true.
The one great thing about Basil as provost is that he had an open door policy. And it's something that unfortunately hasn't been continued in his absence. But although we're moving back towards that situation now. But yeah, if you needed to talk to the provost, you could call a secretary, and if he was available right then at that moment, you could actually come upstairs and sit in his office and talk over whatever it was. So it made John Jay feel like a really, a real community and really inclusive in that kind of way. And I think that's very, very important. I know it was very important for me as a person and as a developing academic, because very often, and again, doing the kind of work I do, which is race work, you are sometimes not sure how to approach a particular topic or how to get a particular point across. And he was always very helpful in, one, encouraging me to do whatever it was, even though it might be controversial, or say whatever it was or write whatever it was. And so that was very helpful. And again, the notion that you could actually get to see him without having to wait weeks for an appointment was wonderful.
I think 16 years in the job as a provost is much too long. I mean, those jobs take a toll on you physically. Any human being only has a certain amount of creativity. I think my creativity was in fact exhausted by the end of those 16 years. The college was going through a different disposition. I thought it opportune for some new blood to come in and to sort of be able to fulfill the new mission that the new president had articulated.